What's up, guys? Welcome back to Dear Traveler, the series where I review and discuss your ideas and hopes for Destiny. The comments for every episode are pulled from the previous episode, so make sure you leave your ideas and hopes and wishes for Destiny in the comments below this video for a chance to be featured in the next episode. Also, the gameplay in the background is just some random Halo 3 campaign. I saw a lot of suggestions for Halo, and Halo 3 campaign just seemed like a fun thing to go and do, so I decided to do that. Feel free to leave your suggestions for games to play in the future in the comments below, and I may use them in a future episode. Anyways, with all of that out of the way, let's get into the comments in no particular order. Starting with this one from Sarge Warcock, he says, "Here's a simple request for any game developer. How about being able to choose what kind of ammunition you want to use? Say a magazine full of incendiary rounds and another full of hollow points. More importantly, I want to be able to pull out my shotgun, load it with deer slugs, and try to hit targets at a longer distance with all the stopping power of a shotgun." Now, Destiny is all about customization, so this seems like a great idea to me. It also doesn't seem like it'd be too difficult for them to implement, as you said in your comment. So it seems great to me. I think being able to choose your type of ammunition is makes a big difference in the way you fight and, your personal fighting style. So that sounds great to me. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And especially in Destiny, being in the future and all that, they could implement some really cool types of ammunitions that would just, make it nuts and really fun to play. So I think that sounds great. And also for the shotgun, yeah, I completely agree there too. It'd be a lot of fun to do that. On to this next one from Bladen. He says, "I wish there was two-person vehicles with turrets and passenger seats, kind of like Halo." Now, we haven't really seen the range of Destiny vehicles. We really have no idea how many vehicles are going to be in Destiny. The one vehicle we have seen that looks like it might support two people is the Pike, which is the Fallen motorbike kind of thing. And it sort of looks like it might support two people on there. It has like a back seat. I'll show a picture of it on screen now, perhaps. So it seems like, two people might be supported on that vehicle. And actually, come to think of it, in one of the previous mail sacks from a good while back, I honestly don't remember which one it was, someone from Bungie was saying that another Bungie employee drove him off a cliff, killing him. So that means that there is definitely some vehicles in Destiny which can take passengers, because he basically, if I remember this correctly, he basically gave him a ride, like, come here and take a ride with me, I'll take you where you need to go, kind of, I'll help you out. And then he just drove him off a cliff to mess with him, trolling him. And actually, it sounded like a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to read over that one. But anyways, I think that basically does confirm that there is vehicles with more than one person. And again, we really have hardly seen any of the vehicles in Destiny, so just wait up on that one. Now, the next ideas are a bit different. When I first announced the series, I said that the person who suggests a name that I use for it would get a special slot to have their ideas reviewed in an episode. And the guy who named the series, Jay Harris, sent me his ideas and everything, so I'm going to review them here. He sent quite a long list, so I'm only going to sort of skim through these. He says, "You should be able to do side missions for NPC characters in the world, retrieve lost items, kill something, deliver this message, etc. to earn money." That definitely sounds like a good one to me. I think in a game like Destiny, where there's a lot of sort of trade and building up your character, it's important that we're able to earn money somehow. So that's pretty, basic. I think that's pretty important. Hopefully we can do miscellaneous little side quests like that. That'd be cool. The next one, space battles. Of course, that was in the previous episode. Everyone does indeed want space battles, I think. If you don't want space battles, leave a comment below, because I believe everyone wants space battles. So let me know if you don't, because I'm going to be really surprised. The next one, some game types that are good for Major League games. I have a lot of friends who play competitive FPS games, and they probably won't go for something without MLG supported game types. Okay, so that one, I don't know, to be honest, I don't know how important MLG is, but I'm not really in the competitive scene, so I'm probably not the person to ask about that. But I definitely do think that they should have competitive support. Like I said, I don't know about MLG support, per se. I think that's more up to MLG to work with them, and approve different things. I don't know how their system works, but I definitely think they should have competitive support, and I'm sure they will. They definitely, Bungie created Halo, and that was all about the competitive multiplayer. A lot of it was about that. So I definitely think that they're going to support that in Destiny. We'll just have to see how. The next one, I know that there's going to be lots of customization for your character as well as the weapons, so I'm hoping for a variety of camouflage for your character and your weapons. Yeah, that seems quite fine to me as well. I mean, that seems like something that's relatively easy to implement and something that will probably exist in the game. I think that's easy enough to do. Hopefully we'll see that. Next one, player emblems, clan emblems, some Destiny form of service tags or clan tags, and the ability to have them displayed on your character/weapon. I also like to make emblems on Black Ops 2, so I'd want to do that in Destiny instead. Now that's, I don't know about the whole emblem making thing. That is a cool thing, but I can see them being called copycats and everything if they started doing that. Although, hey, it's the same publisher now, so, whatever. Call of Duty's custom emblem making is kind of a cool feature, so, that'd be nice. Player Emblems Guild, of course, yeah, that would all be good. I'm sure Destiny will support those in some way or another. In fact, it's almost guaranteed to. I think it would have to. Next one, theater mode that can upload directly to YouTube, and then he asked you'd probably use that, wouldn't you? Well, actually, I personally wouldn't use that because I don't actually upload anything straight to YouTube. I edit everything first, to take out boring bits. Well, actually, I don't really do gameplay like that. But when Destiny comes out, I will be uploading gameplay and all different types of Easter eggs and, glitches and funny moments and fails and wins and just all kinds of Destiny-related content like that. But I wouldn't be using, a direct theater to YouTube feature because I have to capture it with a capture card, bring it to my computer, edit it all up, and make it look all professional. I really wouldn't be able to do that within the Destiny, interface, the theater interface. So I personally wouldn't use that, but I definitely think it's a feature the community would use a lot, and that'd be really a really nice feature. So I definitely think that would be good. And actually, come to think of it, when you said you'd be using that, maybe, I don't know if you meant the YouTube feature or the theater feature. The theater feature I would definitely use. I wouldn't use the upload straight to YouTube, but I would use the theater feature definitely. And I really hope that theater exists in Destiny. I think it'll make a big difference to how well it does, in the video community, on YouTube community. I think without theater, there's going to be a lot less creative videos created. There's not going to be awesome machinimas and all sorts of awesome fly-throughs, just really cool stuff that you can only do really if you have a theater. So I definitely hope they implement that. And they created theater with Halo, so that seems, it seems like a no-brainer in my opinion. But I definitely hope they do that. I would definitely use a theater mode to make some awesome videos. And the direct to YouTube feature would definitely be a cool feature that I know a lot of people would use, although I myself wouldn't use it. Next one, custom games. They're amazing in Halo, so it would be great to see more amazing player-created games in Destiny. That would be pretty cool, but I'm not sure how it would be implemented. Destiny is an open world, connected sort of MMO style game where everyone's in the same world, sort of. And the world's like living and dynamic. So they couldn't, you can't really change game types in the world like that. But here's what I'm hoping for, right? My personal thing. I'm hoping that there's an arena in the city. And I've seen people suggest this as well, but this is something I've been hoping for a while. But have a gladiatorial style arena in the city where players can go enroll and go sign up for games. Basically, you just would walk up, go to a display or whatever, a monitor, and it would show a list of different types of games you can enter into. And it would basically turn into Halo style matchmaking where you've got playlists and different types of servers, different types of game types you can go into, and you get matched up with other players and you play in the arena. In my opinion, that would be a great way to keep that sort of small-scale arena-style competitive gameplay yet make it work in this open-world game. It would still work with the canon. It wouldn't break any storylines. It would still make perfect sense. And now what I'm thinking is if they did something like that, you could also have an option to create custom matches. In the arena, you could create a custom match that only your friends can join. And in that custom match, you could obviously change your own custom settings. And then if they could take it even further, they could add Forge to that. The arena, you could have custom arena maps within this arena. You could build, it could be like a synthetic, not synthetic, but like a holographic arena or something like that. They could, to make it work with the story, and that would allow you to have different settings where you could forge your own maps in this arena, and have custom variants that you would save to your profile, and you'd be able to access them. Now, I think that would all be possible, and it would all work with the Destiny lore and story, but it is a lot to ask. To be honest, I don't know if something like that will exist in Destiny right away. It would be awesome. But personally, I would be completely happy with that appearing as a DLC. I'd be perfectly happy with that. Or if they really had to, in the next Destiny game. But that's definitely something I would really like to see. But like I said, it is a lot to ask for, so I really don't know. The other thing there is, besides this, I don't mean that this should be the only type of competitive multiplayer. Not at all. This should just be like a fun thing you can do in the city. But I think there should definitely be open world PvP, like actual large-scale player versus player war type scenarios that you find in more MMO type games. I think that should definitely have a place in Destiny, and we've already seen faction wars listed as a game type, and that feels to me like a PvP thing, but we don't actually know. But I definitely think that we should have that sort of open world MMO style PvP gameplay. Now, I don't think we'll have hundreds of players. That's already, it's pretty much confirmed. Destiny is not an MMO. It's not going to have hundreds of players, I don't think. but it is, you know, it could still have a decent amount, and I still think we should be able to fight out in PvP zones, just out in the world. I think we should be able to go and explore the world and find PvP areas to fight in. But like I'm saying, I think that should be like the main competitive in Destiny. But I think this arena thing would be awesome as a side thing, as a fun thing to do in the city. I think that'd be great. And actually, let me know what you guys think in the comments if you agree with my idea there, if you think that's a good idea or not. Moving on here. I went on way too long about that. Sorry, guys. I hope you don't mind. I was freaking took ages. Real quick, on to the next one. He says Noble Team was a 6-man fire team. I would like to have 4 to 6 people on his fire team. I talked about this in the previous episode, so I'm not really going to cover it. But just, I mean, well, just real quick. I think 3 players for our fire teams is kind of limited, and definitely, you know, 4 to 6 would be cool. But if that's all the game can support, at least, you know, in the first one, I'm okay with 3 people. It'd be nice to have more, but I think 3 is an okay number if they can't support any more than that. And again, that's only in the private story areas. I think when you're out doing raids or competitive public events, I'm sure there's ways where you can have more players in your team than just 3. I'm sure of that. On to his next one, he says stealth scenarios or assassinations. I think I actually cover that in a question coming up soon, so I'm going to skip that one. This one's pretty long. The next one, maybe some stuff for Xbox. It's like the PlayStation is Xbox's little brother and getting all the cool Destiny stuff. Well, Xbox just gets some socks. Now, for one, I kind of agree with you there, but at the same time, we don't actually know what Destiny's exclusive content is. On the PlayStation, I mean. All we know is that there is exclusive Destiny content on the PlayStation 4, and we also know that Bungie has a long-term partnership with Sony. We don't know what any of that actually means for us, the players. If all the PlayStation gets is like some armor or some weapons, then I think it's not a big deal. It's not something to worry about. If they get something like 30-day early DLC, I think that's a bit unfair. I mean, I don't know what console I'm buying yet. I'm not really choosing sides on the console debate because I haven't decided yet. But I think one side getting DLC 30 days early is kind of unfair. And people can say, oh, well, Call of Duty gets 30-day early DLC on Xbox. Yeah, but I don't care about Call of Duty. See what I mean? It's like, keep that separate. If Call of Duty wants to do that, then no, that's Call of Duty's business. People can complain. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm a little bit worried that Activision is doing something where they want Call of Duty to have 30-day early DLC on Xbox, and Destiny to have 30-day early DLC on the PlayStation. And I'm worried that they want to have 2 big franchises balanced across the 2 different platforms. And I think that's really kind of bogus. And again, this is just personally the kind of thing I'm not even thinking that this is out there. I'm dreading it. Like I'm hoping this won't be the case, but it's definitely in the back of my mind. And I just really hope that that's not the case. I hope that won't happen. I think both consoles should be treated equally, and I think a lot of Halo fans that are Bungie fans are still going to be on the Xbox, so I think they really shouldn't favor PlayStation too much. But at the end of the day, we have no idea what PlayStation is getting. We don't know how major it is. So let's just hope that Bungie is doing the right thing and making it fair to all players. You know, I mean, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and not jump to conclusions there, you know, just yet. On to the next one. While exploring the world of Destiny in the campaign, there should be something that you have to find. I was playing Assassin's Creed 2 a lot because it came out free on Xbox Live last month, and you have to find glyphs that reveal the truth about the Templars. I was thinking something like that, but instead you learn about what happened to humanity when the Golden Age ended, since no one really knows. Now, I think that's actually already been very heavily hinted at. I think a lot of the story in Destiny is about recovering the secrets of the Golden Age, what happened, etc. And I think that's going to be a major element of Destiny, and I think that's, like I said, I think that's already happening. And anyways, that's it for his there. Thank you very much, Jay, for your name suggestion for the series, Dear Traveler. It's been growing on me, and I really like the name now, so thank you very much. Thank you for your ideas, supporting the channel, all of that. Thanks a lot. Anyways, let's move on here. That was a really long one. N8IV3 says, I want to talk about something that hasn't really been discussed. Vehicles, drivable land vehicles. We saw the speeders in the gameplay demo, but that didn't really quell my curiosity. Will there be options to change color/design for vehicles, and if so, what kind of vehicles will we be able to assume control of? Also, will we, as a warlock, have more powers to choose from? Okay, so vehicles. Obviously, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more vehicles in Destiny. So far, we've seen the Spider Tank, which doesn't really look drivable to me, but we don't know that, or the Devil Walker, I think it's now being called. We've seen the Pike in concept art, but we've also seen the Pike as in the live-action trailer, the Law of the Jungle trailer. They were all driving Pikes, looking pretty damn badass. So I think I would take that as pretty much confirmation that Pike... Actually, no, wait a minute. No, mail sack... Thinking back to the mail sacks, the Pike is also a definite drivable vehicle. So we have the Pike. We have the little speeder, which was called the Sparrow, that we saw in the gameplay demo. So we have two sort of bike-type vehicles. We also have our personal spaceship, which we don't know whether we can control or not. And then we've also seen Fallen and Cabal dropships, but I doubt we can control those. But I definitely think there's going to be a lot more vehicles to choose from. I wouldn't really worry about that. They're still really early in development. They're calling it pre-alpha right now, you know, Destiny's status. So there's still a long ways to go, and I think there's still a lot of chance for them to add more things. And I'm sure there's plenty of vehicles and weapons and things they haven't told us about yet, so I wouldn't worry about that. And the next one, as a Warlock, well, you have more powers to choose from. I think you'll have different types of powers. And maybe you'll have more like big boom space magic, you know, like the Nova Bomb type powers, like those real like impressive type space magic powers. I think you probably will have access to more things like that, but not necessarily more as a whole. I think the classes will probably be pretty balanced, but you'll see different types in different classes, in my opinion, because we've seen the Titan do his ground slam thing, which he just like jumped up and pounded the ground, causing this sort of a wave of energy coming out, and that's called the Fist of Havoc. And then we've also seen the Hunter's two abilities. We've seen the flaming gun. The gun became like wreathed in flame, and then the bullets came out were like incendiary bullets. We've seen that, and then also the Hunter had this little ability where he threw this little thing, and it spread into like a little I don't even know what to call it. These little red mine missile. The little red missiles is what they were. He threw like a grenade type thing. It spread into these little missiles, and then locked on, like homed onto targets. So we've seen those two for the Hunter, and then for the Warlock, we've seen the Nova Bomb, which was that big purple explosion, and the Solar Flare, I think it was called, which was a little grenade-style one. So from what we can see there, the Titan, I mean, I guess the Titan was really a space magic power. I mean, he just slams the ground, a wave of energy comes out, the Fist of Havoc power. But the Hunter, well, no. Nah, I was basically trying to formulate an opinion there that the other classes had more like science, like technology abilities, whereas the Warlock would have true magic. But you know, I think they will all have true magic. But if you ask me, I think the classes will all be pretty balanced. But there probably will be certain advantages. Like the Warlocks probably will have access to certain more, like not impressive, I think, but more, I guess, glamorous, more fancy magical abilities. That would be my guess. On to the next one from Bravo Monkey. He says, how will people play the story? Is it going to be like WoW, where you walk up to the person you're supposed to talk to, like a fluent story? Or are you going to just unlock missions that are sort of random? Any ideas? Well, okay, I think story things are going to be unlocked over time in terms of in the form of books and chapters. We've already seen evidence of this in the Bungie mobile app and some other things. So I think we're going to get, you know, like new quests and missions every week or something along those lines. Maybe even little things every day, like little challenges and things. But I think there will be a central narrative story, and that's going to be going through your whole thing as a Guardian. And in the, let's see, what was it? In the gameplay demo and in the trailer at E3, we did see that masked Guardian in the tower talking to our character, and he seemed like a high up official, maybe some sort of like a counselor, or maybe even like the maybe he's a vanguard or something. We don't really know, but he seemed like he's quite high up and important, and he's probably involved in the story somehow. And I imagine we'll be dealing with people like that who are going to give us our missions and stuff like that. So I think there will be a central narrative that's going to come through, sort of not scripted, but it's like you're gonna get it delivered to you. You're gonna do one mission, come back, talk to the boss, you know, talk to the counselor, whatever it is, and you're gonna get some more missions, and you're gonna go out and do those. So I don't know if that's quite like WoW. Maybe it is. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really play WoW, so I don't know for sure. But I do know about WoW, but I don't actually play it personally. But I think there will be the main central narrative that's gonna play a lot like, you know, a regular FPS game will, where it's just you sort of go through and it just evolves as you go. But besides that, I would imagine that there's gonna be a lot of side quests. I would hope, sort of like the guy Jay Harris, the guy who named the series, said, you know, doing side quests for people, little errands and stuff. I think you should definitely be able to do things like that, and hopefully bigger side quests as well, maybe for the factions or something along those lines. But I definitely hope there's going to be bigger quests where you just go walk up and talk to people and get your mission from them. and that sort of thing. So I hope we see stuff like that. I don't know if I really answered your question there, but I hopefully you get the idea. Anyways, on to the next one. This one I just threw in here for the lulz. Comes from my friend Mr. Atozi. He says, "Dear Traveler, all I want for Christmas is to get my comment featured. Oh, and a pack of Skittles." So there you go, man. You got your comment featured. I don't know about the pack of Skittles, though. I don't think I can send you any. But there you go. You got your comment featured. I'm thinking I might turn this into a weekly thing throughout all the... I know, obviously, this is going to be a normal series where I'd review all the awesome comments and everything. But I'm thinking I might throw in one random derpy comment in there every week just for the hell of it. I think that might be a fun thing to do. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do that. If you want me to basically pick out one random comment every week to put in there, in the middle of all the good ideas and everything. It'd just be one just for the fun of it. But let me know what you think of that. And please don't start posting millions of derpy comments, because this is really just a silly little thing. I'm not gonna pick a bunch of these. I'm only gonna, if I do it at all, I'm only gonna do one per episode, and that's only if you guys leave comments saying you'd like it. So please don't start flooding the comments with these. I still want your actual ideas and hopes for Destiny. On to the next one from the Gunslinger. He says, "Dear Traveler, my hopes for Destiny include, but are not limited to, the ability to choose a category for guilds. For leaderboard purposes, as in, a dungeon crawling guild shouldn't really be compared to a social guild, nor should either be compared to a competitive PvP guild. Also, a dynamic, catastrophic, heart-wrenching, gut-twisting, tear-jerking, heartstring-pulling story that includes players that complete key challenges to our goals into the lore of the world." Wait, did I say that right? That includes players that compete key challenges. I don't think he worded that properly. But anyways, I get the idea. I think that's a smart thing. Guilds should have different categories. I think that would be... It depends on what they're going for there. If they want to support the competitive sort of... the competitive statistical side of things where people are trying to get up on leaderboards, then I think that should definitely happen. I think they're really advertising Destiny about being fun with your friends, though. So, I don't know if they're really going for that. But I think that would be a good idea. I don't see a problem with that. Well, there is one thing. What's to stop you from going and doing other things if you name it? You know what I mean? Like, say you put your guild into the PvP guild. Does that mean you can't go dungeon crawling? Or does that mean you can't just go have social fun? Is it literally locked to that one thing? Because if that's the case, then I see that as kind of a problem. But if it's not locked into that thing, then how does that work for the leaderboards? Do you see what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe what they should do is just have leaderboards, instead of categories for your guilds, just have leaderboards that, gauge based on specific things. The leaderboards will scan all the guilds for their PvP activity, their dungeon crawling activity, rather than just being categories. Every guild can be in every category, but there will be separate leaderboards. I don't know, that's my take on it. And as for your hopes for the story, yes, of course, I hope it has a story like that. And they've stressed that it has a real, proper narrative cinematic story, and so I hope, we will see things like that. And then he ends it with, "and he's out of space." So there you go. He filled it up and he wrote it very well. Oh, except for the end there. But I really like the Dear Traveler thing. I think that's kind of awesome. I think, well, I'm not saying you have to. I'm still going to feature your comment if you don't. But saying Dear Traveler on the comment is kind of cool. On to the next one from Ryu Knight of Lame, I think. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Says, "Wildlife unique to each locations that can be captured and used as pets and crossbred or gene splice to make even more unique pets, given you have the patience to do breeding. Imagine a lizard from Venus combined with an anaconda from Earth to make a snake lizard that can spit acid and poison gas." All right, I don't know about that exactly. If you want my personal opinion, I don't think it'll happen. It just seems like one of those things that would take a decent amount of work to do right, and people might not use it. I don't know, but it definitely sounds really cool. I don't know about a snake lizard spitting acid and poison gas. That'd be pretty vicious, but that's definitely a cool idea, and it would be cool to see, but I kind of doubt that'd be on the top of their priority list. Moving on, Chris Hayes says, "Dear Traveler, I hope that Destiny will be able to have Oculus Rift support in the future when it's adapted for consoles, and that the city will expand throughout the game's lifespan, so it'll be like a true city and community." Okay, very good points. Oculus Rift support would be amazing. If you somehow don't know what the Oculus Rift is, it's a virtual reality headset where the screen fills your entire peripheral vision, so you literally only see the game, you don't see anything else. And I haven't been able to try it yet, of course, because I don't get to go to events and stuff. But for those who've tried it, everyone says it's amazing, and it'd be pretty awesome in Destiny. So I hope something like that happens. If if and when Oculus Rift comes to consoles, that'd be really cool. Or if Destiny goes to PC, either way, that would definitely be cool to see. And then that the city will expand throughout the game's lifespan. That would be awesome. I don't know about expanding through the first Destiny game, but I think it was 4 Destiny games. Offhand, I think it's 4 Destiny games planned. So I definitely think it should expand over the course of those games. That would be really awesome. And if they could make it expand over the course of this first game, that would be really cool too. I mean, that'd be awesome. But I don't know if they'll be able to do that or not, but that would be definitely awesome. On to the next one, which comes from Tigerman. Well, actually, no, it comes from Unbalanced Apple. But he says, I really hope to see lots of battles between alien factions. Like how in Halo you would often see the Covenant, the Flood, and the Forerunners fighting each other. Just imagine coming across an epic 4-way battle between the Fallen, Hive, Cabal, and Vex. Now, that's a good point there. I've personally thought for a long time that all of the alien races don't get along. We've seen one piece of concept art where the Fallen and Cabal were together. That's the only piece of concept art, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's the only piece of concept art where we've ever seen the two species actually together. And then in the gameplay demo, we did see one scene where we saw the Vex in a forest, and then we saw some shooting and stuff, and the next minute we saw the Fallen in that same forest. I'm not sure whether they were there as friends, or if the Fallen literally just came in and wiped out the Vex, or if they had a battle. Since the Vex were actually shooting something in the demo, I'm going to assume that they may have been shooting the Fallen. I don't know. It seems like it's possible they were shooting the Fallen, and they may not be working together. So I think that's pretty likely. There's 4 races. They might have different. There might be different. Like, I can't even think of the word right now. Like different splinters, different factions in the different races. We already know that the Fallen have different clans. We know that for sure. I think the clan we saw in the gameplay demo was the Devil something. I can't remember the Red something or the Devil something. I can't remember the name offhand. And then the clan of Fallen or tribe. I can't remember. Maybe they call it tribes. The tribe of Fallen that we saw at the end and on Venus was different. Most of the Fallen we saw were all wearing red capes, and at the end we saw Fallens wearing black capes. So that's already proof of different divisions of the enemy races. They're not all going to be exactly the same, which will likely mean varied combat styles and possibly different allegiances. You might have some Fallen working with some other races, and then they might not all be, basically they might not all be on the same page, or they might have a central leadership and maybe they are on the same page. I don't know. The only other thing there is the Hive. They're space zombies. They should be dead. So I would imagine that they're not on anybody's team, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Now the next one comes from TJCS, who says, I would love there to be perhaps a criminal underworld in the city and that we could be a part of it. So that would make it more realistic and we could choose to fight it or be a part of it. That is pretty interesting. It would definitely be cool. I admit that'd be a nice feature to have. It would make an interesting sort of gameplay within the city itself. But I believe there is something in the one of the previous mail sacks where they said that you're a hero in Destiny. That's really the only route you can go. Well, you can choose different, like, whether you want to be a bit brighter or a bit darker. Like, for instance, you can be the Exo, that's kind of naturally more sinister. Or you can be a human or awoken, which don't seem quite as sinister. I don't really know exactly. But basically, it doesn't sound like you can actually be a villain in Destiny. It sounds like as a Guardian, you're basically a hero by nature, and I don't think you can really change that. That doesn't mean you can't occasionally do some, illicit things. I don't know. It seems like something like this might be somewhat possible, but I don't think you can ever actually be truly evil, if that makes any sense. On to this next one. The Crystal Blood says, Dear Traveler, my wishes for Destiny are many varied quests that get you invested in the story, of course, given, and not too easy difficulty level. That is definitely an interesting one. Yeah, it should definitely be a mix. It shouldn't be too easy. It shouldn't be too much of a challenge either. I know they want Destiny to be accessible, so they're not going to make it nuts. But it'd be nice if there was a way that you can affect your difficulty level, or just have it leveled. So as you get higher level, it becomes more difficult. The enemies become harder, naturally. Good trade system, obviously, of course, that's important. With it needs to have a good economy to back it, and I'm sure it will. Allowing many different play styles to play the game, like stealth or a melee fighter. I don't know about having an exclusive melee fighter in a first-person shooter. You should be able to play melee. You should be able to use melee weapons, but I don't know about using that exclusively. And stealth definitely would be cool as well. I believe the hunter is supposed to be a bit more stealthy, or at least it can be, but that remains to be seen, really. And then attachments that change your gun performance, like a grip that reduces recoil, or a laser that lowers hipfire spread. That's pretty common across most first-person shooters, and it seems like that could very easily be implemented into Destiny. And I guess it wouldn't be a bad thing, since customization is such a big, part of Destiny. And we've already seen that the armor that you wear makes a difference to your armor rating and everything. We've seen that pretty much demonstrated. So I definitely think something like that is very possible, and it should be in the game, to be honest. The next one, and a very good balance between the guns in competitive multiplayer. Now, in competitive and story, campaign go hand in hand. Your Guardian with all of your loot and goodies from campaign goes straight into competitive. It's like there really is not even competitive and campaign anymore. It's like, are you gonna go do a mission in the story, or are you gonna go play, competitive PvP, player versus player somewhere else? It's not really even two separate. I don't even think there should be a division there. It's one world. Everything's connected. So anyways, you're taking your loot from the story into your multiplayer matches. But your point still stands. It doesn't really matter where the weapons come from. They still, of course, need to be balanced, and I'm sure they will be. I would say Halo had, pretty decent weapon balancing as far as most games go. I was pretty happy with it for the most part. So I trust them to keep their weapons balanced. Now this is getting pretty long, and I won't have time to render and edit and deal with too much more of this, so I'm just going to end it after one more question. So the final one comes from Fingado, and he says, I trust Bungie, and I don't want to presume that I know how the game should be made. However, I would dearly love to see fully functional land-based co-op in Destiny. Firefight in Halo Reach was a dreadful laggy mess online, part of the reason that it failed to attract players. My friends and I got around this by playing land-based Firefight. Please, Bungie, give us the tools to link machines, enjoy the fellowship, and beat game-sapping latency. P.S. Firefight style mode would be appreciated. Okay, so a number of things there. For one, Destiny has been confirmed multiple times to be always online. I don't get the feeling they're going to change that anytime soon, because the entire world runs much like an MMO. It's a connected world. The entire thing is linked to servers. It's going to constantly be getting new information from the servers, updating things. It's going to be getting new things to make more public events, I would imagine, adding new content every week, or however often they're adding content, giving us access to new missions and stuff. I think it's going to be, they're really pushing that whole dynamic nature. Also, I think things like weather will probably be a factor in Destiny, also time of day and all of that. So I think, being connected to a server is just crucial to what Destiny is, and I don't think it's just not going to be possible. Destiny is not an MMO, definitely not, but it's a lot like one, and I think in that sense it has to be treated like one. And it's kind of, I know it does suck, but you have to just kind of accept that it's gonna be always online. I don't think there's any way for them to change that. For Firefight being a dreadful laggy mess, I'm gonna have to argue with that. If you found players close enough to you, which a lot of times I think you're able to do, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, obviously it wasn't perfect, but it was usable. But the thing is, I imagine Destiny will have dedicated servers, and I actually asked about it in this week's mail sack. We'll see if I get an answer or not. But there was actually an article in a magazine that I covered recently where Harold Ryan, the president of Bungie, said they had a dedicated server on stage at E3 powering those 7 players. So that makes me hope that the entire game will have dedicated servers, and to be honest, it should. I mean, a game like Destiny almost needs them, really. I don't know if there's any way you could run Destiny without dedicated servers. So I definitely think there will be, and I hope there is, dedicated servers in Destiny, and that will mean a lot less lag for sure. It won't completely fix lag, and so I hope they're working on some really awesome netcode system or whatever to handle all this AI and everything all the AI activity and everything to make it work. But if we have full dedicated servers, that's definitely a huge improvement, and that'll definitely help with lag a lot. And then, of course, Firefight style mode, that would be awesome, but in a game like Destiny where everything is a connected living world, it's kind of hard just to randomly throw game modes in there. Unless, of course, they do that arena style thing I was talking about before, which would allow you to do things like this that are not actually like logical in the world, but they would just be purely holographic. They could explain it by it being a hologram in the city or something like that. It would be explainable in the story, and it would still allow us to have fun doing these kind of awesome things that don't actually fit in the story. Anyways, that's all the time I have for today. There's a lot of awesome comments I didn't get to go through, as there will be in every episode. If your comment didn't get answered, feel free to repost it in the next episode, and I may feature it there. Unless, of course, I answered a similar comment. Like, if your question or idea was similar to somebody else's, you know, avoid reposting the same one, because that just makes more, kind of clogs up the comment section with things I've already talked about. But if you have an interesting idea that I didn't talk about here, or if I didn't talk about anything related to it, then feel free to repost it in the next episode, and I may feature it there. And by the next episode, I actually mean in the comments of this episode, so that I can feature it in the next one, if you see what I mean. Basically, if your comment didn't get answered and you think it has potential, and you know I didn't answer anything else similar, then feel free to repost it in the comments of this episode, and it may get in the next one, if that makes sense. I'm rambling here. Anyways, that's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, feel free to suggest additional games for me to put in the background. I take a lot of them in, and we'll use a lot of them. Both PC and console games work. I play a lot on console, but I also have a new PC that I'm just putting together. So games for both platforms work fine for me, and I have quite a few games. I can always buy games, if they're older, they're cheap, I can always buy them to put in the background. So feel free to leave comments, suggestions for games to play in the future. And of course, leave your comments, hopes, ideas, suggestions for Destiny in the comments of the video for a chance to be featured in the next one. And that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Once again, I had fun making this. I really love this new series, and I'm glad to see the reception of the last one was so good. It's really awesome to see, because I really enjoy making these, so it's nice to see that something I actually enjoy doing is accepted by you guys. So this is a lot of fun. But that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the latest Destiny news, and I'll see you in the next update.